10 individuals are arrested after the ICAC uncovers a bribery scheme involving steel reinforcement work at an Anderson Road housing project. Public schools in the city will face a 10% cut in major funding in the coming school year. And Beijing slams U.S. President Donald Trump's pick-off Golden Dome missile shield, saying the America First policy jeopardizes global strategic balance and stability. Good evening. You are watching Cable News. I'm Evelyn Bai. The Independent Commission Against Corruption has arrested 10 individuals, including contractors, consultants, and subcontractors, in a sweeping crackdown on bribery and fraud tied to a luxury residential project in Kuntong. Kunting Yang has more details.
The $4.95 billion project on Anderson Road was developed by CK Asset Holdings and was slated to deliver 6 towers with nearly 3,000 units, including 1,000 subsidized starter homes by next September. Work halted abruptly last October after structural flaws emerged during Buildings Department inspections. The ICAC later launched an investigation. The anti-graft watchdog revealed today that a steel reinforcement subcontractor had allegedly compromised building integrity by using thinner, fewer, or misaligned steel bars to cut costs. Suspects reportedly bribed site supervisors with cash food red packets of up to tens of thousands of dollars, mooncake vouchers, luxury dining, and nightclub entertainment to falsify records and bypass oversight. The initial complaint focused on one tower, but we later found discrepancies in all 6 buildings, said Tommy Loy, chief investigator of the ICAC's operations department. Violations included missing, misaligned, or weakened steel reinforcements critical to structural integrity. Among those arrested, aged 29 to 52, were employees of the main contractor, Superb Interior Contracting Company Limited, subcontractor owners, and engineering consultants. CK Asset confirmed collaboration with authorities on remedial steps. Meanwhile, the Buildings Department assured there is no immediate safety risks, but mandated repairs or partial demolitions. Bong Ko, the department's chief structural engineer, said they're consulting the Department of Justice over potential prosecutions, adding inspections of the contractor's other projects revealed no similar issues. Kunting Yang, Cable News.
The government is further slashing budgets on education. In a meeting with school representatives, the Education Bureau announced a 10% reduction in operational expenses block grants for 80 schools in the coming school year. Xu Ren reports.
Amid budget deficits, the government is implementing cost-cutting measures for both public and direct subsidy scheme schools, reducing subsidies by around 2% starting in September. Sources say DSS schools will face a direct 2% cut in operational subsidies, including salaries. Public schools, meanwhile, will see a 10% reduction in funding, though teacher salaries remain unaffected. Additionally, the grant for supporting non-Chinese-speaking students with special education needs will now require an enrollment of 6 to 9 students to qualify, up from the previous threshold of 1 to 9 students. Wang Ting-hong, principal of Cotton Spinners Association Secondary School, estimates that schools could lose between $650,000 and $800,000 in grants, affecting daily operations such as cleaning, security, and utilities. The government is also tightening class size policies. Schools must now have at least 4 Secondary 1 classes to qualify for an additional 1, up from the current 3. Secondary school headcount assessments will also expand to cover all grades, rather than just S1 and S4. Education sector lawmaker Lawrence Tang warned that schools may need to admit lower band students, potentially widening their ability gap in classrooms. He urged schools to prepare for the challenges ahead in the face of falling birth rates and fiscal constraints. Meanwhile, the Education Bureau said it has been discussing education policies in different areas with various stakeholders on a regular basis to formulate policies and measures in the light of changing circumstances. Cheryl Yun, Cable News.
As the government has reviewed new tourism initiatives aiming to adapt to changing traveler patterns, industry leaders emphasized the need to weave historical and cultural insights into experiences, offering fresh perspectives to elevate tourism. Meanwhile, Deputy Chief Secretary for Administration Werner Chirk brushed aside concerns about ecological damage and overcrowding. Xu Ren reports.
The government's initiatives target a wide range of visitors, from those seeking Instagram-worthy moments to travelers looking for deeper cultural immersion. A tourism representative highlighted the unique appeal of Made in Hong Kong industrial tours and visits to the city's disciplinary services. Mainland tourists have long found Hong Kong's disciplinary services intriguing and mysterious. With guided explanations, these tours could become a compelling option, said Leung Feng Yun, chairwoman of the Federation of Hong Kong Trade Unions in Tourism. Paul Chan, founder of a local agency specializing in immersive travel, noted that while Hong Kong has strong tourism infrastructure, it needs a more human touch. Adding local perspectives can make experiences feel more authentic, he said, pointing to Kowloon City as a district with potential for development. Though many projects are merely updates of existing ones, Deputy Chief of Administration Werner Chirk, also the chair of the Working Group on Developing Tourist Hotspots, argued that revitalizing heritage with fresh angles can still offer novelty. As for green tourism, which revolves around 4 peaks in Hong Kong, Chirk dismissed worries concerning overcrowding and litter, citing educational campaigns on platforms like Xiaohongshu to promote responsible behavior. Cheryl Yun, Cable News.
An expanded regulatory regime under the Private Healthcare Facilities Ordinance will be gazetted this Friday to extend oversight to clinics as small medical practices and will be tabled at the Legislative Council for negative vetting next week. The ordinance stipulates that a license is required for operating a clinic, and licensees must at all times comply with the ordinance, license conditions, and the official codes of practice. The Department of Health will begin accepting license applications starting October 13th. A transitional arrangement was also announced to allow clinics already in operation on or before November 30th, 2018, to get a provisional license to continue operation before a full license is issued. The provision bans unlicensed premises from using titles or descriptions that could mislead the public into believing they offer medical services, thereby enhancing regulatory oversight and consumer protection in the healthcare sector. The Hong Kong Red Cross blood transfusion service is set to raise the minimum hemoglobin requirement for female blood donors for the first time in over 30 years. Effective May 27th, the minimum hemoglobin level required for female donors will be increased to 12 grams per deciliter from 11.5 grams per deciliter. The requirement for male donors remains unchanged at 13 grams per deciliter. According to the World Health Organization, the hemoglobin level below 12 grams per deciliter in women is defined as anemia. The adjustment came after a sharp decrease in the number of people being deferred due to inadequate hemoglobin, dropping to less than 10,000 in 2024 from around 40,000 over the past decade. As the drop indicated that more people are meeting the hemoglobin standards, and since the original threshold is more than 30 years old, the center decided to raise the bar at this appropriate time to better reflect the current situation in Hong Kong.
Overall, we observe in our local population in Hong Kong, we noticed that there is an improvement, significant improvement in the deferral due to low hemoglobin. On the other hand, there is some increase in the baseline hemoglobin among our donor population. We have seen successful donors, they have been changing their diet habit improving, just like spacing out the coffee and tea intake during the mealtime. As simple as that, that already improving the hemoglobin.
Drinking coffee or milk tea with meals can affect iron absorption. Iron deficiency is often linked to low hemoglobin levels, which can cause fatigue, hair loss, heart failure, and even anemia. Lee added that women are more likely to have low hemoglobin levels due to menstruation, which leads to iron loss. The Blood Center also encouraged the public to consume more iron-rich foods, such as beef, pork, and shellfish. Beijing warned the U.S. newly announced Golden Dome anti-missile defense system could spark a destabilizing arms race in space, urging Washington to abandon its development and deployment. Quentin Yang reports.
美国奉行本国优先，执迷于谋求自身绝对安全。
At a daily press briefing, Foreign Ministry spokeswoman Mao Ning condemned Washington of prioritizing absolute security at the expense of global stability. She emphasized that the Golden Dome's proposed orbital weapons and expanded space warfare tools contravene the 1967 Outer Space Treaty, which mandates peaceful use of space. This system will weaponize outer space, intensify an arms race, and undermine international security, she said, urging the U.S. to halt its deployment. The remarks followed U.S. President Donald Trump's announcement yesterday of the $175 billion initiative, which takes inspiration from Israel's Iron Dome. Trump cited threats from Russia, China, and North Korea, claiming the dome would forever end missile threats to the homeland, while pledging the system would be operational within 3 years.
Because this is very important for the success and even survival of our country. It's a pretty evil world out there, so this is something that goes a long way toward the survival of this great country. And as I said, we'll be discussing Canada. They want to hook in and they want to see if they can be a part of it.
Canada has confirmed it is in discussions to join the program, according to a spokesperson from the Prime Minister's office. Quentin Yang, Cable News.
International pressure has been building on Israel over its renewed offensive and humanitarian blockade on Gaza, triggering unprecedented diplomatic shifts, with the United Kingdom halting free trade talks with Israel, while the European Union launched an urgent review of its trade pact with Tel Aviv. The moves come as the United Nations warned 14,000 infants in Gaza face imminent death from malnutrition. Quentin Yang tells us more.
Israel today released footage of 93 UN aid trucks entering Gaza via the Kerem Shalom crossing in an effort to counter global criticism. Yet UN officials called the deliveries a drop in the ocean, citing bureaucratic delays that leave life-saving supplies stranded.
Just to make it clear, while more supplies have come in to the Gaza Strip, we have not been able to secure the arrival of those supplies into our warehouses and delivery points. The deprivations we are seeing in Gaza is the result of ongoing bombardments and blockade and the recurrent displacement.
UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer lambasted Israel's offer to permit a basic quantity of aid as totally inadequate, demanding an immediate ceasefire and unfettered humanitarian access. In addition, British Foreign Secretary David Lammy announced sanctions on Israeli settlers and groups accused of West Bank violence, blaming Netanyahu's government of enabling abuses. The EU, backed by most member states, cited grave breaches of human rights obligations under its trade agreements with Israel as the bloc began its review. Israel rejected the measures as unreasonable, vowing to continue military options. Overnight airstrikes have killed at least 24 Palestinians in Gaza City and Rafah, while over 41,000 others fled bombardment, adding to 1.4 million already displaced. Quentin Yang, Cable News.
Now let's take a look at the stock market. The Hang Seng Index ended the day up 146 points. Top 80 stocks of the day. Checker Fund was up 18 cents. Tencent was up $3.50. BYD was up $18. Meituan was up 90 cents. On to the weather now. Mainly cloudy, with the minimum temperature at about 28 degrees tomorrow morning. Very hot with sunny periods apart from isolated showers during the day. The maximum temperature will be around 33 degrees in the urban areas. That's our news tonight. I'm Evelyn Bai. Thanks for watching and good night.